Let us learn how to create @rate lazy annotation in our Spring Boot application. We can instantiate bean eagerly or lazily. By default, when application context starts, bean factory initializes the bean eagerly, but we can configure it to initialize it as lazily. What we have to do is we need to use @lazy annotation. We can use @lazy annotation at many places. First, we can use @lazy annotation with @configuration. Second, we can use @lazy annotation with @bean annotation. Third, we can use @lazy annotation with stereotype annotations such as @component, @service. And fourth, we can also use @lazy annotation with @auto-wired annotation. So when we use lazy annotation, by default its value is true and that bean will be lazily initialized. Let us start one by one. First of all, I am using @lazy annotation with @configuration annotation. In this case, the bean created by @bean, all the bean will be lazily initialized. I have two bean here, user and book. Both the bean will be lazily initialized because we have used @lazy annotation at the class level. But if any of the bean we need to make it eagerly initialized, what we have to do is use @lazy annotation and pass false value. In this case, this bean will be eagerly initialized and the user bean will be eagerly initialized. Let's see by the running our application. Look at this case. I am using @lazy annotation with @configuration annotation. What will happen that I have two bean and both will be initialized lazily. Here I am just starting the application context and we will see that their constructor will not be called. I have written up some message inside constructor. This is the user class and it is a constructor and I have some print. In the same way, in the book class, a constructor and some message. Okay. So the case first is I am using @lazy annotation. What will happen that these bean will not be initialized. It means their constructor will not be called because we are not accessing those bean. Just we are starting application context. Let's see. I have the Spring Boot application. Look, we can't see the message of constructor. Now, lazy initialization is when we access that bean, then that bean will be initialized by its bean factory. I am accessing both the bean. Okay, we can see that their constructor has been called. So, in the lazy initialization, bean is initialized only when it is accessed. If you don't use the lazy annotation, they will be eagerly initialized and whether we call them or don't call them, they are initialized. Let's see. I have commented I am not accessing those bean. Okay. And what I am doing here, I am commenting the @lazy annotation. what will happen that bean will be eagerly initialized and we will get the message in constructor. Look, bean has been initialized. So in this way, we initialize the bean eagerly, and if you want to initialize lazily, just use the @lazy annotation. Now I will use at the bean label. In this case, user bean will be lazily initialized and the book bean will be eagerly initialized. I am not accessing here. What will happen that the constructor of book will be called and the constructor of user will not be called because we are not accessing them, and what will happen that book will be eagerly initialized and user will be lazily initialized, but we are not accessing that bean, so we will not get the message in the of constructor. Okay, book has been initialized and user bean has not been initialized because user has been annotated with @lazy. Okay, we can also use @lazy with component. So let's use. Okay, I'm enable the stereotype annotations. Now I'm deleting the user bean from here, and what I'm doing is I'm using component. Right now, user bean will be eagerly initialized. We can see at that time we have two bean, book and user, both will be eagerly initialized. Okay, got it. Both bean has been eagerly initialized because we have not accessed them and we are getting the message from constructor. Now I am using @lazy with component annotation. What will happen that we will not get message for user. User instantiated. We will not get this message. Let's see. Okay, only book has been initialized. And we can also use @lazy annotation with @auto-add. So in this way, we can use @lazy annotation to initialize a bin lazily in our Spring application. Okay, thank you.